Valheim is the biggest freaking game out there. It's going crazy across all social media platforms, namely the gaming ones. Twitter, not so big. Twitch, huge. YouTube, growing. We're going to go over all of those numbers. What's really important here is this game going to grow your gaming channel? Is this a train that you can hook yourself to potentially go to the freaking moon and beyond? Trending games come up all the time, right? With Fall Guys and Among Us and whatever new game, Valorant came out last year. It started trending when it came out. Is latching on to these big games when they get huge. The secret to success. Sneak preview, parent. I'm putting your face on the screen. Yes or no?
Yes, for the most part. There's some caveats in there. We'll get to that though.
Play the ad, pay the bills. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Obviously, we could start this episode with a simple yes or no answer on if Valheim is actually going to grow your live stream or gaming channel, and we're going to get into that later, obviously. But you need to understand how we come to that conclusion first. Pretend it's a math problem. Gross. I know, but if we give you the answer to one of the problems on the exam, you'll get it right. But you'll also have no idea how to answer the next question and ultimately fail that exam. So don't just pay attention to what we say, but pay attention to what we're actually looking at and the sources we use, and you'll thank yourself later. So with that, let's move over to Google Trends real quick. And Awol, I believe the last time we saw anything even similar to this was kind of Ark, correct?
Yeah, so this looks very similar to Ark. As you guys can see, there's a 45-degree angle right behind me. That's exactly what you want with your trends. We keep talking about when should you be covering a game, when it is going straight up while it is on the way up. This is the time to get in on a title, namely because there are fresh new eyeballs looking for these games. There are fresh new people that are looking for a creator to follow, to introduce them to the game, to give them new experiences, to show them the mechanics of the game, maybe even to show them modding, for them to see the bosses for the first time. You see it right here. Valheim is going freaking insane right now on this chart. This is the time to get in. You don't want to get in when it plateaus. You don't want to get in when it starts to decline, because there are less new eyeballs coming in. This is worldwide YouTube search. Perrin, there are other numbers to consider here other than YouTube search, right? Because as a creator, you're looking to go streaming and YouTube as far as your strategy. So break down the Twitch side for us.
Yeah, so Twitch is the primary platform where the game has blown up viewership-wise, and we can see that really clearly. If you don't want to look at all the numbers, and we're looking at Twitch tracker here, you can just look at this nice chart down here on February 1st with 0 viewers, 0 channels, and skyrocketing now to only February 17th at 71,000 viewers, 3,000 channels. This is some of the fastest growth we've seen. It's been a similar spike trend to Fall Guys and to Among Us, but there's a lot of differences in this one that we wanted to illustrate today, which is why we're doing the episode. First of all, I did want to point out up here, the average viewer per channel is 23, which is higher than average. Normally that's in like the 15-ish 15-ish range, so that's actually higher. It's already ranked 11, and it's only we're still within its first month. So normally you would expect a new spike trend to last for about 3 months total before it's down pretty flat again. So we're still in kind of that upward trajectory, but what we're kind of predicting here is that trajectory is going to kind of stay consistent for maybe even longer than 3 months, because we're basing it off of other data that we've seen before. Like Awol, you mentioned Ark Survival Evolved. So if we're taking a look at that trend, look at the incline of Ark when it first came out. It skyrocketed, and then to a degree, it very, very slowly went down. But it's a pretty parallel trend. Like it's pretty flat, and you don't have this steep decline after that initial spike, which is what we normally see with like a title like Fall Guys, like Among Us, things like that, where the popularity wanes and people lose interest. These type of survival games have a long-term appeal, and there's so much content that can be generated from it that you can keep on going with content creation, and there's interest for years afterwards. The larger that initial spike, the longer and many more years it looks like you'll be able to take a look and have interest in that game. Just for comparison, the king of this is Minecraft. We'll bring that one up here. I did video game across all of them, so I wanted to keep it even. If you look, Minecraft is the ultimate survival game trend, and its only difference is it was not nearly as steep of an initial climb. It took
I don't know,
years.
man. That's a 45-degree climb. But it took years, but it was
over 4 years though.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, but it grew like consistently over those many years. But if you would compare it to Ark at kind of like this point here, it's about the same. It slowly goes down over time, very, very slowly over years. So,
and then it's going back up more recently. And one thing I'd like to point out, and this is sort of a sneak preview, if you will, of what we'll talk about later. But for those of you that, want to get in on the survival game thing, but you don't want to play kind of more kids-oriented games like Minecraft or Roblox, these more mature survival games obviously have a great life cycle to be had here. Ark being the ultimate example of that. If Valheim can become even just half of what Ark is here, in terms of popularity and staying power, it's a game that will make full-time creators happen. We've seen it happen over and over and over again, right, Ross?
Yeah, we have. And that's actually our next point is every survival game has actually made a lot of successful creators. I mean, from Minecraft to Rust to Ark, and it looks like we could potentially be seeing it here as well.
That's right. So the question, though, let's talk about not only the fact that they make full-time creators, but let's talk about why games like this make full-time creators. So obviously, it's exciting to kind of watch a story play out on the screen when you're watching somebody play one of these games. They start at 0. They're collecting in the beginning. You can literally see the progress on the screen. This is Ashral's live stream right here with him playing the game. You can see his progress from 0 to 1 on stream 1. Then on stream 2 from 1 to 2. Then on stream 3 from 2 to 3. You get it. You'll see the progress, and it's sort of a story. And so viewers, as they're watching you play the game, they can watch your progress on your base, on what you're collecting, what you're crafting. They can watch you go through those interesting adventures over time. So that makes this type of game interesting in that it's got its own story that is repeatable and is different for every single person, right? Because it's a procedurally generated game, and assuming in the future they're going to be dropping lots and lots of DLC. As opposed to a game like a single-player RPG, a lot of those games are linear, and you just do the same thing all the way through, and then you finish the game. Unlimited content potential is what we're talking about here. And with games like Ark, one thing that creators do in the very, very beginning of the life cycle of these games is they're like the first to hit a boss. They're the first to beat XYZ. They're the first to try out some crazy strategy, etc. And they're the ones that get a lot of attention out the gate. But that isn't the only way to make it interesting with this unlimited content potential, right, Perrin? You've been streaming. I mean, literally, we have it on the screen right now. You've been streaming this game. Give the audience an idea of why there's a lot of meat on the bone, if you will, here with this type of game versus others, like even just like, first-person shooters, etc.
It's like survival games, the way they're built are designed for creators, because one of the whole points behind the game is to create within the game. It's to build things. It's to build cool structures. It's to build really cool bases. And that makes for great social media content. It makes for great YouTube content as well. And then you get the challenge content coming in. And think of all the different types of Minecraft videos you've seen over the years. All of those formulas will work for this type of game. So it will have all of that longevity. Challenge content being a huge one. Just the all of the amazing things that people can build, and then showing you how they can build it. All of the little tips and cool little like building things that they can show you within the game. The game has so much content packed to it's 1 gigabyte game size, by the way. It has so much content.
Are you serious? It's only 1 gigabyte?
Wow.
It's a 1 gigabyte.
I didn't know that.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. That is so tiny.
So the way that they've been able to I guess the devs are brilliant. They've been able to use kind of a lower tech pixelization, but also bring newer, higher tech lighting and things like that to the game to make it look great. And because it's procedurally generated, it's only 1 gigabyte. So you've got this tiny game that has so much room to grow, but there's already tons of content packed into it. And creators can basically they have a sandbox to create whatever they want. And so they can create whatever video concept they want and house it within this game. It is basically a canvas for a creator artist to do whatever they want to with, which is going to give it tons and tons of longevity, just like Minecraft, just like Ark. I would say where Ark failed was was a little bit less creative and a little bit more survival versus dinosaurs. Its builder wasn't as good as what Valheim has out of the box right now. Its builder still isn't as good. So,
and that's coming from somebody, you put in hundreds of hours into Ark, right?
Yeah, I have like 600 hours played in Ark, something like that. And I have about 50 hours played in Valheim now. So the builders, and that's a sentiment across most survival game players, is Valheim's builder out of the box. This is one of the reasons it's hugely popular, is every creator, every gamer can see the potential of how good the building system is, even right now, even in its alpha state, right? The game isn't even technically launched yet, it's early access. So because of that, you've got infinite content potential across any number of value adds on YouTube. It makes it particularly good for YouTube. Problem is, it's not quite so good for live stream viewership, but we're going to get to that, I think, in a later point. Right, Ross?
Yes, we are. But first, we do need to talk about this awesome giveaway that we're doing, an Ultimate Gaming Creator Bundle giveaway to really take your production quality from a 1 to a 9, 10, probably an 11 even out of 10. We're giving away a pro podcast production studio. It's coming with a Procaster microphone, studio boom arm, a shock mount, pop filter, plus a Restream.io standard 3 months license and a TubeBuddy Legend license 3 months. We just tossed the link in the comments. It's also down in the description. Go sign up for that. Take your quality to the next level. Nothing makes Valheim better than better quality production. So we've been patting it on the back. We've been patting Valheim on the back this morning. Let's do a leg sweep here and wipe it out a little bit. So one of the issues that we kind of talked about with Valheim is it's never going to be a Minecraft or Roblox type of trend because it's not necessarily tailored towards the kids market. Well, I guess the question I want to get to is why is games tailored towards kids and children more successful? Why? Let's help people understand that first.
I would love to talk about that. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Wall, and I've created Minecraft channels as a part of my job before. And so what we did actually was we made channels about Minecraft that were song videos, essentially. And so games like Minecraft tap into the psychology of a kid and how they consume content as a kid. And children will watch the same type of content over and over and over again. Their tolerance for similar content is 10, 20 times greater than an adult. They'll listen to the same song, for example, in the car back to back 20 times and still love it just as much as they did the first time. And so with games like Minecraft and Roblox, when you're a creator for these games or a streamer for these games, everything that you're doing in the games often is so much more interesting because your audience is a child. Because children are literally seeing everything in the world for the first time. That may sound obvious, but it actually changes the content potential and the ability to get views on that content longer term. Kids also, literally every single one of them, consumes content on the internet now, opening up this whole new market. And they will chug a single creator's content 10 videos back to back every single day and rewatch the same video over and over again. So the question is, why does that matter versus a game like Valheim like this? Because adults just don't have those viewer behaviors. And so if you release a Minecraft video on your channel or you do a Minecraft stream, you will get insanely engaged viewership that is almost like, let's say, unnatural, if you will, or almost impossible to get the same sorts of numbers and engagement and re-engagement and repeat viewership on your content because adults just won't do that crap. That's a huge factor here. Also, Minecraft, it's not just kids, it's also for all ages, right? And it's also available on all devices. Same thing with Roblox. So games like Minecraft are literally available on every phone, every iPad, every platform, every console, every PC, with extremely low requirements in terms of being able to run it. So the availability is much larger, as opposed to games like Ark. And Ark is becoming more available across more platforms. And Valheim, for example, is only available on one platform. And let's be honest, PC is the dying platform in comparison to how market is expanding on mobile. So it's all about availability and it's all about viewer consumption behavior. And that's the big difference as to why Minecraft is an ultra mega super infinity trend, as opposed to something like Valheim, which we predict will be big, but it just doesn't have that infinity potential because you don't have that X factor of kids will just chug the hell out of this content into an infinity. I mean, just literally look at Minecraft compared to every other gaming trend right behind me. It's not even comparable. That is powered by children watching back to back to back to back to back to back auto playing episodes on YouTube of Minecraft content. No adult will do that with Valheim. Anything to add to that, Perrin?
Yeah, I mean, so it's early access for Valheim. Maybe it will come to different platforms. Like I said, it's a 1 gigabyte game. It's very modular. It should be able to easily be ported to consoles and other, maybe even mobile. We'll see. I don't know. We don't know what the developers' plans are there quite yet. But yeah, it's not targeted towards children, so it's not going to have that same appeal. Who it's targeted for is it's all the Minecraft gamers who've grown up a little bit now. And so all of the survival game players who are older, teenagers or older now, are going to be playing this, but it is missing that childhood appeal for them. And that will make it less of a sizable trend than Minecraft. I don't think any survival game is ever going to beat Minecraft at what Minecraft did. It's the king. It's going to hold that throne probably forever. Some things will come close, and this will come close. But yeah, don't settle, don't hold out hope as a creator waiting for another Minecraft to happen. It's not going to. This is going to be as close as you get. This is something like Valheim will be as close as you get. So if you're looking for a game that has long-term content potential, yeah, this is the one to go for. Now, if you're looking for a game to stream on Twitch and grow, it's a bit of a different story here. I want to make sure we're following. Ross, what's our next point? Make sure before I derail us on that topic.
No, actually, go right into that. That's actually kind of a good segue into it. Let's jump into Twitch and actually take a look at that.
One of the things about watching, if you guys have ever watched survival games on Twitch, it can be boring to watch somebody build. If you go watch Valheim streams now, they're pretty boring to watch. I won't lie. I've streamed it a few times. I definitely drop audience because it's nothing like Mobile Legends at all. Of course, that's going to happen, but also because watching someone build slowly over time, it's boring. You want to see just screenshots or like small videos of their progress after it's all happened. You don't want to watch the nitty-gritty of the building. So unless you're wrapping it into challenge type content or a YouTube video, it doesn't work as well. I don't think it's going to be as good on Twitch for growing an audience. It's also super saturated with all the bigger streamers are hitting this right now. So it's definitely not going to be good to grow right now. But I think from a streaming standpoint as a whole, if you're planning to grow by streaming Valheim, it's not going to work. That's not how survival games work. You've got to take it to YouTube. You've got to grow an audience there by doing unique things with the building aspect, doing unique challenge type content. And then you can bring it to a live stream where they can just watch you do the normal stuff because they've watched your other cool content and they just want to see how you do what you do. So unless you're doing that YouTube method, just live streaming Valheim is not going to work. It's just not engaging enough. It's just not entertaining enough. And it takes too long to do most of anything. There are some exciting combat elements that you can get into. Those will be okay moments for now. That will only last for a couple more months and then that will go away until new content comes across the board. So YouTube content, yes. Video content, yes. Live streaming content, boring. You're not going to grow nearly as fast, if at all, doing it that way.
Hey, well,
I have something I want to say about that. I have something to add to that. So whoever it is that streams Valheim, it does something innovative in their streams to make it interesting on a moment-by-moment basis could potentially blow up on Twitch. So what do I mean by that? I'm not saying these are the $1 million ideas, but what do I mean by that? Doing something totally unique to break through over here and to make it interesting in between while you're building. That could be you dressing up as different Valheim like characters, dressing up as a Viking, maybe having, another idea. I'm just throwing out ideas here of crazy stuff you can do to make it interesting. You could be building in the game and then literally in your home studio be building an actual axe with carpentry in your studio while you're doing it. And like by the end of the stream, you built something in Valheim and then in real life, you built a wooden axe as well. Like I'm talking about, you have to do something really unique that you can go back to while Valheim is doing its thing and while you're taking breaks and doing just chatting with your audience to make it super interesting for viewers to watch. Cool. Also, you could potentially do something in Valheim where you have like some sort of side activity you're doing, or I don't know that enough about the game to know, but eventually you might be able to, if they enable things like modding and what have you in the future, Things like modding will be huge for the game, and just doing streams where you're doing extreme versions of Valheim, where maybe, you know, you turn your character into a version of the character that is like 50 feet tall with a giant axe and you're destroying like 17 enemies at a time, or you're Thanos in Valheim, etc. Things that'll make it extreme, more interesting, doing something different than everybody else will make Valheim streams interesting over time. If you look at Ark on Twitch, just as an example, Ark as a game that is streamed on Twitch isn't that popular. It's in like the top 30, generally speaking. But generally speaking, the viewership is much, much lower. There it is, Ark Survival Evolved right there. But on YouTube, it is a much bigger trend because, like Perrin said, you can consolidate all of those interesting things that happen in one stream or one 5-hour play session into a single video. So that's the way I would be thinking about streaming, guys. If you're going to be streaming, try to do something unique during your stream to make it more engaging and talk with chat. And then consider that stream as essentially as a recording session for you to be able to record the footage that you need and the concept that you need to do an edited YouTube video later. To me, that seems like the only growth strategy that's going to be available for any survival game, for that matter, until there's extreme mods and things that can make it incredibly interesting on a moment-by-moment basis. That is the weakness of slow-moving survival games. Ross?
We're brought to you by Restream.io. Right now, we're actually streaming to Trovo, Twitter, Facebook, gaming, Twitch, DLive. We were featured on DLive's front page yesterday, and that was all made possible using Restream.io. I'm dropping a link in the comics. In the comics, boys. I know. You
Get
said
your
Thanos.
comics.
It got me sidetracked. Links in the comments. Go down there and drop 30% off your first month. Moving down the list here. A good thing about 2020 was we actually saw a couple of games just kind of pop out, and unfortunately they just kind of died down. And I'm talking about Among Us, and I'm talking about Fall Guys. So Perrin, let's start with you on this. Why is Valheim different than Fall Guys and Among Us, and why will the trend of Valheim last longer than the 1 to 2 months that we saw with these other two games?
Fall Guys and Among Us were social trends. They came about because of a human need and they were completely catapulted by coronavirus. So you've got a populace that's locked down, that is increasingly indoors and isolated from social connection. Among Us and Fall Guys were used to facilitate socialized games, play with friends, to engage with more social connection. And those games, they lacked depth. Fall Guys did not start introducing new content till about a 1 month too late, after the trend had already really started falling down. In fact, we should probably just bring that up here on Google Trends. Among Us is kind of the same deal. There's nothing new there. You're really cycling the same gameplay over and over again. The unique element are the people that you're bringing into it. And in those cases, those trends wear out pretty quickly. And we can actually take a look. If we do past 12 months on Fall Guys, let's see. Look how quickly it spiked. It spiked in August alone down into September. By mid-September and by the end of September, it was already pretty much dead. It didn't even last. Fall Guys didn't even last a 3-month normal average trend spike. It was a shortened spike. It was more of a fad. It was more of a quick, short burst of a fad, like Pokemon Go was when it first came out, and where everybody was interested in it for about a week, and then everyone dropped it afterwards. That's the same thing with Fall Guys. There's just, as a game, there's not enough depth to keep people coming back. The developers didn't develop enough content. I don't think they expected the game to blow up like it did. They weren't ready to just inject more and more and more content to keep people coming back. Same thing with Among Us. Among Us was literally the same game over and over and over again. The only thing that was unique was, what kind of streamers can we throw together to make it interesting and fun? As you can see, this one has a lot slower of a decline because it had a little bit more that you could do with it. It had a little bit more that you could play around with content and creative wise. But at the end of the day, it's the same game being played over and over and over again. There's really hard to come up with new concepts outside of bringing new people into it. So you see that declining as well. Valheim is different because it's like Minecraft, it's like Ark. There is infinite number of possibilities for content. And as a content creator, those are the best type of games to choose to cover, because if you cover that game for 5 years or 10 years even, you're likely going to have content. And it's very, very easy to traverse from one survival game to another. Most survival game players are interested in more than one survival game. Most Valheim players probably come from a Minecraft background. Maybe they've played Ark, maybe they've played Rust. So a lot of these games have a shared audience, that even if your one survival game dies, you could jump over to another one and maintain a pretty high portion of your audience if you really needed to. Anything else to add there, AWOL? You know, what's your take on why these two are going to die, and maybe what's Valheim going to do for you?
It's ultimately, it is a unlimited content potential equation. That's it. And that's, you know, Fall Guys and Among Us was all powered by collaboration. That was the meta in 2020. Collaborate with other Twitch streamers if you're a big Twitch streamer, and get bigger as a result, because you're tapping into new audiences. With games like this, that meta doesn't apply. So all there is you're basically dissecting the game, Valheim, extracting whatever interest you can from the game, and then the game is out of juice at that point. And then it's going to be on a core group of creators to cover this game moving forward, to get even more value out of it, to do twists on it, to teach you things about the game, secrets, mods, and to kind of extract and mine and make the game new over and over and over again. Fall Guys and Among Us had no opportunities like that, really have no depth. They're essentially mini games. Survival games are the opposite of a mini game. They're just nothing but long game. They're nothing but depth. And so if you guys right now, I'm just going to call it right now, you guys can say whatever you want to say about it. I'm calling it right now. If you guys are looking for a game that you could cover longer term, a year, 2 years in the future, that is on the way up, you could jump on the train now and build a YouTube channel specifically around it. I would put Valheim on my top 3 list of best games to cover on YouTube this minute. If you are into survival games and you want to build a channel around it. This is it. This is the Ark Survival Evolved of this year. And if the folks that jumped on Ark, multiple full-time YouTubers came out of that. This Valheim, multiple full-time YouTubers will come out of this as well. Could that be you? Guess what? 99 out of 100 of you watching this podcast right now will say, I don't know. I'm going to go maybe cover Fortnite. I'm going to play Call of Duty and I'm going to make it. Okay. Well, look, we're giving you tips on the games that will actually give you a higher probability of growing. And I think Valheim is one of those. Perrin, would you agree? I mean, in my opinion, you jump on this trend, it's on the way up. It's probably going to continue to go on the way up, and the interest is going to stay consistent. Unlimited content potential. They're going to be dropping new DLC for the game. It's already got name recognition. It's going to be lower competition than Minecraft and Roblox. It's checking every single box for it being a damn good idea for creators.
You know, out of how long we've been doing this podcast, I don't think we've run into a trend where I can say, yeah, I mean, this trend is definitely one a creator should go into in terms of games. Valheim I can't overstate or understate how rare it is to find a trend that can be this versatile for creators. And if you ignore it, I mean, you're basically making your job so much harder. I know maybe Valheim isn't your kind of game. Maybe this isn't going to be your thing. Fine. You can't deny looking for opportunities. And if you're ever, as a creator, if you're looking for a way to enter that creator area, that's super hyper competitive, by the way, and there's very few and far between chances to really get catapulted up. This is one of those chances that happens very rarely. And Valheim is one of those trends. We probably won't see another Valheim trend for years, maybe. We don't even know. It normally is years before you see something like this. Most games are a 3-month spike trend and then they're dead. Valheim is not going to be that. And to ignore it, I mean, you're just ignoring another major opportunity to get ahead as a creator. And I mean, even if you're not a survival game player, I would say maybe open your horizons and try something new and check it out and see. Make it that 20% and your 80%, 20%. Just because you don't know when the next opportunity like this is going to happen. It might actually not happen for another 10 years.
There may not be another viable game this year, bro. Like, there may not be any good viable games coming out this year.
There's really
2021 does not look good for gaming, by the way. Like, it does not look good. And so this Valheim being this kind of surprise in here, and I don't think anybody really saw this coming. Maybe there's like a handful of gamers who are like, yeah, I was there. I knew this was going to be a thing. But I don't think it was very many, and they weren't very vocal about it. Valheim kind of surprised us. It's a welcome surprise. It's a trend that's going to continue, and it's not going to be a 3-month spike and die. And you can't just you can't just ignore that. I don't think you can just ignore that when it's such a rare opportunity. If you keep letting these rare opportunities go by you as a creator, you're going to find yourself struggling with the same place as millions, 24 million other 0 to 1 concurrent viewer streamers. So don't let opportunities like this pass you by when you see them. I'm here to tell you they're rare. It sometimes takes years for something like this to pop up again. Don't wait for the next Minecraft. That's not happening again. Valheim is what it's about now. That's the kind of trend you want to jump onto. You want to leverage and find a way to create content around it.
AWOL, why is the persistent world so important with this game?
Happy to provide that insight. So whenever you're scouting games and you're looking at what's going to work in the future and what's not going to work in the future, the persistent world is really important because you can do storytelling with it and show progression with it, something that I kind of indicated earlier. So what do I mean by that? So as you're building up your world and as you're building up, all of the different aspects that you can build up in Valheim, you can kind of break that into a progression in your content in your YouTube video that sort of writes itself. For example, big ARC creators that I studied in the past and that I coached in the past, what they would do is they would go into a particular session and they would have an objective that they were trying to accomplish. They were trying to catch such and such dinosaur. They were trying to do such and such objective. In Valheim, take that sort of format and use that as well. Go into Valheim and say, in this session, we're going to do this one interesting accomplishment. You can then live stream Valheim and you can record your adventure to accomplish that. And then you have a live stream where something actually happened and you're progressing towards something. Then you have a YouTube video that you can, take that 5-hour play session or whatever, edit it down to an interesting 10 minutes, and you've got a piece of content. And then as people are following you and they're following the stories and watching the adventure of what you're going through, it all builds upon itself. So it's not just each individual story happening in each individual session. There's a longer story arc that can happen between you and your audience and on your channel that people can follow over time. It's this big infinite story because of the persistent world here in Valheim, this big infinite story with infinite content that can happen that will make what you're doing a lot more interesting than you just playing Call of Duty, for example, over and over and over again. When you play Call of Duty and you shoot people in the game's over and it resets. There's no story. The story happens 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, and then it's over. There's nothing for anybody to latch on to outside of that. What journey are they following with you? Why do I say story? Why do I say persistent world? This is one thing for you guys to log away. This is a long-term item to be thinking about. Human beings absorb information in the form of stories. That's the way that we absorb things. That's why we tell people, that's why we tell each other stories. That's why literally every movie is a story. Every book is a story, okay? A lot of our video games are told in the form of stories. When we try to communicate to people what happened in our day, we tell them in the form of a story. Why? Because it is the most effective way to communicate information to other human beings. Take that basic piece of information and apply that to your content on your channel. It's going to make what you create more memorable, more sticky, and make people more loyal to you. And what does loyalty equal from a business standpoint? More donations, more patrons, more concurrent viewers, more average viewership, and then ultimately more sponsorship money and higher likelihood of you going full-time as a creator. So persistent world in games like this and storytelling in these games like this, unlimited storytelling in games like this means unlimited content potential. And it means that this goes way beyond even the potential longer term than any other multiplayer game, which ultimately almost all of them are fads that go up and then ultimately die right after that.
Information are taken, boys. AWOL, let's say I had a YouTube channel and I needed a refresher course on this. So I can actually have you sit down and talk with me about my channel and including Valheim. Where can I book you, man?
That's a fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking, Ross.
You're so welcome.
You can book me at awalldigital.com, AWALL digital.com. Go to the website, click the schedule button. You can schedule a one-on-one consulting session with me. And I'm literally doing a session today with a Digital Drop podcast viewer that found me here on the show. You go to the website, you click the calendar, you select your day, you select your time. You tell me what your goals, what your challenges are, what kind of topics you're looking to cover and what questions you have. And by the end of our one-on-one coaching session, you'll walk away with a clear understanding of what you're looking to do creatively, financially, and what kind of goals you have in terms of growth. We're going to go over all of the different topics you could potentially cover and select one or two that are high probability for you to succeed. And we will come up with the channel strategy of here's what you're going to do in terms of streaming. Here's what you're going to do in terms of YouTube. Here's what you're going to do in terms of social media. And you will walk away with a game plan based on what you want. A game plan based on what you want, customized just to you, for you to go after the content creation dream and go full time. I've helped dozens go full time. I'm happy to help you too. Book me at awaldigital.com.
Perrin, before we get out of here, there is a question for you in chat that I wanted to get to. We took a look at how Valheim compares to Among Us and Fall Guys, and as far as those trends go, a question from Narnicle, I love that name, by the way, in our chat. Do you think Among Us will increase in popularity when the new airship map is coming out, or should I just drop the game from streaming altogether?
Look, if you're getting growth and viewership from that game, don't drop it. Don't just drop a game that's high unless you just can't bring yourself to play it anymore or whatever. If you're still growing, make that your 80%. Try the new stuff with a 20%, 80-20 rule all the time. So will the new map in Among Us like make the trend spike? No. Once a trend spikes, it never goes back to that level except maybe Minecraft. Maybe. We have
It's very rare. Like one out of like 100 games does that.
Yeah. So look, Among Us, this is the red line. Among Us is going down. It's not going to spike back up with just one new map. It's just a new map. It's not new gameplay. It's just a new map. It's not even new gameplay. So there's still the same gameplay over and over and over again. The new map isn't even going to have a blip on the radar here. But if you're getting viewership and your viewers like that and they're expecting that, don't just drop it for something else. You got to ease in. You got to check out that new thing at the 20% level. Feel it out, see if it's before you completely destroy any traction that you have. So that would be my suggestion to you. Don't just drop Among Us. It's definitely not going to blow up because of a new map, but don't just drop it arbitrarily for a new game. You got to test that new game and make it an 80-20 rule thing.
Makes sense. Ross, get us the hell out of here, bro.
Yes, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a nice rating on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening. And by the way, you can continue playing Call of Duty or whatever other games that you want to. This game, honestly, it doesn't do very much for me. But if I had a YouTube channel and I was trying to grow, I would at least try it. I would at least download it and give it a try and see if maybe there's a rare instance where it can, pull in my attention a little bit. And then you can move forward and decide from there. But don't just dismiss something because it doesn't look like fun. You're trying to make this your career, so you have to treat it like a career. And in a career, you have to do a lot of things that you don't like. We will be back tomorrow. Happy Thursday, everybody. See you later.